Okay, welcome everybody to another week of the Weeks in Tavern podcast, going over weekly WoW news every week. I'm Subtle, joined as always by Hando. How are you doing, Hando?
Hello, Hando. This is Hando.
Welcome, welcome.
What's up, Subtle?
Um, dude, so let's just get right into it. What have you been up to this week in the world of Warcraft?
I've been dabbling in a little bit of everything. I tried a little beta, played a little SOD to Sunken Temple. I did a raid in Ulduar, I believe, this weekend to get someone their Mimiron's head. So I've been
I
all
was
over the
there.
place.
So
Yeah,
I know you were there, yeah.
yeah, I was all over the place this week. I've been loving it. I've been every facet of WoW except for retail so far, but I have been watching the streams for Alpha, and I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today, like the Delves. I'm super excited about, so
Yeah,
can't wait. And the Warband, I can't wait to get into that.
dude, yes. Yeah, it looks like they're doing some really good stuff. Very excited.
How about you? How you been, and what have you been doing?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I'm still on the Raptor grind, still trying to get that ZG Raptor. Doing like 9 characters every 3 days on that and still not getting it. Someday we'll get it. Other than that, just working on some Cata P server stuff, looking at the raids, just getting a feel for that, brushing off the blood decay cobwebs on there. And man, it feels good. I'm excited for Cat of Blood Decay. It's just like a god class. It's like it feels like you can do anything you want.
My favorite thing is all the videos you've been releasing because you've been able to play this thing. So I know other tanks and stuff are super excited. So just keep pumping it out for us.
Hell yeah, dude.
We love to
Dude,
see it.
yeah. I was hoping to get some of these going earlier, but never got the beta. So here we are. We've been relegated to the P server to get the content that everybody's craving.
The
But
dev footage.
yeah, that's pretty much it right now, though. And then obviously super excited that in a week we got Prepatch coming up, and then get to start that archaeology grind. Probably
Yeah,
make a troll druid.
I really hope we get to fly in the old world. I know in the beta we were able, like when it only capped at 80 or whatever it was, you were able to fly in the old world. So hopefully it's coming through.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
What do you say? You want to get right into it? We've got a lot
Yeah,
of questions today, and we've got a ton of
yeah,
news as
we.
always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
this
right.
first one. You want to take this first one? We got. Well, you can start on it, then I can add into it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's from one of our
Um,
good friends.
one of our good friends, Prodigy, we raid with him in Fake P, and he's been a loyal follower, at least of any guild that I've been a part of since 3 years or so. So thank you for shouting out and putting the questions out there. His question is, how long will it take a one night raid guilds to progress through heroic in Cataclysm, and what class? I assume he means ability here. What class ability will be the most troll besides life grip? And then the final part of the question is, how much of a difference will a pre-patch be compared to now based on fights like Heroic Lich King? So starting off with the first question, uh, I think it depends on the amount of time that you have relegated or delegated rather to the heroic grind and stuff. My guild plans to do 4 hours once a week. Will it be enough? Probably not to see something like heroic Ragnaros. Will it be enough for some of the original or like some of the opening raids? Yeah, probably. Um, I think it'll take. I don't think it'll take a few weeks compared to some of those guilds that are grinding, 3 or 4 days or whatever it is to be able to get through there, or some of those guys that have endless practice with their own private servers, etc., etc. Um, I think the second question, I don't know if there is a more troll ability than life grip. Uh, I mean, the OG was in Wrath of Lich King was probably Path of Frost. I could think of maybe some uses there. But I think maybe some people would potentially troll themselves with the goblin rocket jump, maybe jump off an edge on accident, going the wrong way, like a disengaged sort of situation. And then
Definitely.
I think the meta, for the final part of this question, I think the meta for the pre-patch for Lich King, the final parts of Wrath of the Lich King is going to be crazy. With all of our extra talents and stuff like that, I think it's just going to be nuts. I don't think it's going to be as much of a cakewalk as maybe TBC pre-patch was, where we were just slamming through Sunwell Plateau. But I think it'll be enough of a meta change that it'll be somewhat easy, a little bit of a learning curve for each player's new class abilities and stuff like that. But I think it'll be pretty good. Besides maybe like not having so many D-sacks, right? Because it's only prop paladin bound.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just touch on a few of those real quick. So for the one night raid guilds, it is gonna be pretty rough. I mean, you got a lot of bosses to do. It's 13 bosses on heroic. And like when you're a one night guild, like I mean, most of that one night's just gonna be re-clearing things you've already done before. So that leaves very little time to actually work on new things. So like a lot of one night guilds probably won't fully clear all their heroics by the end of the phase. The like above average ones should by the end be able to, I would think, but it is gonna be a grind trying to clear everything on a one night schedule because like I said, a lot of that time is just spent re-clearing. As far as what class will be the most troll besides priest life grip or what ability? I mean, you mentioned the Path of Frost. It actually gets kind of a redemption arc because there's a glyph that makes it reduce fall damage for everybody that has it. So that's kind of cool. It's like anti-grief now.
That I did
And
not know. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
the other thing that's gonna kind of be trolling sometimes is gonna be the nitro boost fails, where like, I mean, if you have the whole raid nitro boost at once and like half the raid starts taking 80% of their life, could be interesting. But in general, most classes have like a counterplay for it. They just gotta be ready for it, I think. And pre-patch, yeah, I think pre-patch is gonna be kind of a cakewalk with a lot of the new abilities. Some classes get like really shafted though, like ret pallies in particular. Like they won't have Inquisition, like their 30% increase holy damage ability. And they're missing some other good stuff too. They're missing like Guardian of Ancient Kings, and yeah. I mean, same goes for prop eye. Inquisition's like huge for AoE. You literally won't even have a shield wall ability because you won't have Guardian. So it's gonna be a little bit rough for some people in pre-patch, but I think overall the raid should be easier, but we'll see. And Chill of the Throne actually goes away. So tanks are gonna have 20% more dodge, which we've been missing. It's been a while.
40% in the past, potentially it could have been, right? With the
40%.
with the dodge nerf or dodge revamp or whatever in Old War.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if it was the old War version, maybe it would have given us 40% dodge instead of taking away 20%.
Yeah, that's right.
The OG method.
I'm gonna get into the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna take Czar's next question. So Czar says in Cata 10-man raid environments where some classes won't make the cut, which class do you feel is irreplaceable besides tank and healer meta, i.e. which DPS would you auto include in any comp regardless of raid buff / debuff coverage? So for me, I think the highest value, just like single DPS, is probably Ellie Shaman. They do like crazy damage on their own. I mean, it kind of throws a wrench in it that it says like regardless of raid buff and debuff coverage, because that's like a big thing they bring, is that they bring like a bunch of buffs and debuffs, and they bring loss, obviously. And then also having like a really good healer off spec they can swap to when needed. Like Ellie Shaman's incredible, and like 10 man in particular, because I mean, all the reasons I just mentioned basically, and there's quite a few 3 heal fights in 10 man. So being able to swap to that Resto Shaman on the fly, it's gonna be huge. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. Like before you even said it, the first thing I thought of was Elemental Shaman. I don't think I could probably pinpoint something better. Maybe hunters bring some unique stuff with their pets and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. Like Elemental Shaman just brings so much extra to the table. It's just
Yes, I mean, Survival Hunter is another good one to pick. Like the frost traps are really valuable for a lot of fights.
yeah,
They
for sure.
bring a lot of damage on their own. They bring some really good buffs, and then yeah, with pets they can kind of fill pretty much any gap you need to on buffs and debuffs. So let's see. He had a second question. With how strong blood DKs are while carrying a competitive DPS OS, do you think it would be better for Prog to run double blood DK for 2 tank fights instead of Feral, which is a class known to underperform when monocat? Um, I mean, one of the big things is we gotta kind of see. I haven't gotten a great chance to like feel out exactly how much is gonna be solo tankable. Like I've just done normal so far. I really gotta see like how these things feel on heroic, because like on normal, there is like a lot of stuff that's like solo tankable. Like it's crazy how easy it is to survive right now. But my opinion, I mean, things are likely gonna change quite a bit, right, when you're going into heroic. So, I mean, the feral seems kind of unbeatable to me, just because like on the fly they can be that like taunt you need. Like if you need a like brief taunt, they can do that easy and like live. I mean, they can pick up some ads for like 10 seconds and then go back cat, stuff like that. I just think that's like kind of irreplaceable, but it would be interesting to see like what DK could do as well, like a
Uh,
second DK.
yeah, I think my thing here, I think another thing that brings like a lot of viability to a druid is the distribution of loot and how it shares a different loot table than the DK, right? If you have two blood DKs, you're fighting for a lot of the same loot.
Yeah.
Um, whereas cat, I mean, there's not very many leather users in the raid, right? So you just kind of send it over.
Yeah. Chad and Chad also mentions that Pharaohs typically put up the Sunder debuff now too. So that's another
Yeah, very
good
true.
point.
Very true. I did want to touch on Kenneth's question here next because I was going to skip over Zars and get back to it because you mentioned it, which was the engineering boots. Uh,
Mhm.
are they good for feral tanking even when possible backfire? Do you think they will have no backfire in Cata similar to Wrath of Lich King because speed is king? I'm going to take that more broad and say just to tanks in general. Speed is definitely king. If it does not backfire, I believe it's absolutely going to be the choice, right? Currently, it does backfire in the beta, but we don't know that in raids, right? Because we haven't been able to test them. But I think if it stands that they do not backfire, I think it's definitely the choice, no matter if you're feral, prot, uh, or blood DK. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean they should backfire. Like that's how it worked back in the day, and like part of Blizzard's goal was to make engineering like a little bit weaker. They didn't like fully accomplish that in Cata, but yeah, I would be really surprised if the Nitro Boost wasn't backfiring in raids. But with like the fuel leak, so the originally it could like knock you in the air, but that part got taken out. Is it just the fuel leak, which even the damage on the fuel leak got nerfed? So it's 10% damage taken every second for 8 seconds. So you take 80% of your health over 8 seconds. But it's magic damage. Like a DK can literally pop AMS for it, and it's like it doesn't even matter. So he's talking about Feral specifically. I don't know Feral well enough to like really say how capable they are of dealing with the fuel leak. I know on DK it's like a total joke. Like it's very, very easy to deal with. Um on Pally too, it'll be fine because you can divine shield it off. Just you get a 1 minute forbearance and your shield wall, none of your like other defensives except like lay on hands are on forbearance anymore. So like using that forbearance isn't really a big deal. And
Yeah.
if you're
Plus,
tanking, you can, taunt plus divine shield. So
the engineering boots themselves don't even have a very high, backfire rate, right? So maybe it's just the way to go, to be honest, because of
yeah.
that. I think in guilds like Noda and stuff. Well, I don't think Noda's playing Cataclysm, but in guilds like that, or Progress, etc. Um, I believe they'll probably be using it because it's just the way to get there faster, right? Even if with the chance of backfire.
Yeah. I mean, it, with the it's a pretty low chance. I mean, we'll see
Right.
what the final chance ends up being on beta, but like it seems like the chance is so low. And like literally just make a weak aura that tells you, it makes it really obvious when you have that fuel leak backfire, and just like kind of, know ahead of time like what kinds of things you can do to play around it. It like the speed gain you get from them is like so good. Like a small chance of it backfiring is honestly pretty negligible. And I don't, for Feral specifically, I really don't know exactly like their best counters for it, but I mean pretty much anybody can counter it from what I've seen. So I
I'd
don't think
imagine
it's a big deal.
I'd imagine if you were just not in bear form, like as soon as the fuel leak happens, you just switch to a different stance, so that your
Oh
HP
yeah.
is like a higher value. I think that would probably help a little bit. There's like bark skin and stuff, but you probably want to save those depending on when you're tanking in the rotation.
I mean, if you're bear form, there's probably a reason for it, right? So,
Right.
and you haven't gotten your speed boost away from whatever you were trying to get away from. So, like if you had the opportunity though, yeah, definitely you could go cat, take less damage since it's percent, but um, yeah, just like if you're already in bear form, like you likely were for a reason. So you probably won't have that option, but something to be aware of.
I would
Um,
I would
yeah.
definitely, just a little sidetrack here. I definitely, in things like Algalon, right? Where some people just like counted on their boots. I definitely would probably not count on the boots saving you from a mechanic. Uh, for some things, like just be ready to react if they fail, right? I think going from point A to B, like from boss to boss, I think it's going to be a lot bigger than it will be to than preventing like some sort of mechanic. Like I know you use it on Lich King to get away from him, right? So I think things like that you may have to think of a backup plan in case it does fail.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely just nice to have it as like a, you know, safety net kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, if it fails, whatever. But most of the time it won't. Okay. So Marshy also had a question. Thoughts on Warrior as potential best off tanks. Reason why it might be good: vigilance, AoE damage, high mobility, safeguard, rallying cry, and spell reflect. So I the main thing I had issues with on the Warrior, granted I have like pretty limited playtime on Pro Warrior on Cata. The main thing I noticed, aside from just like not having as much vigilance or attack power from vengeance rather, the main thing I noticed was I just didn't have enough rage to use like a lot of my abilities when I wasn't currently tanking. So you will get some of your AP on from vengeance still like with vigilance, but I think just the lack of being able to press your buttons is gonna like really impede your damage and be kind of an issue. Like I think they will be fine tanks like for most guilds. It's really most likely at the highest level you probably aren't gonna run them, but I could see it happening, especially in like 25 man where like the extra feral druid damage is like much less impactful. Because like in 10 man, you have so few damage dealers already that getting that extra damage from the feral is like so huge. But in 25-man, where that damage is less important, things like safeguard, rallying cry. I don't think spell reflect is really useful at any time, but maybe. And then shockwave, things like that. Like I think Prowler could be totally fine for most raids. It's just probably not at the highest level, especially in 10-man. But I love Prowler, so I really hope it like fits into the meta some way that people aren't thinking about right now. That'd be awesome.
I am a huge fan of Prot Warrior. I think they are so fun. So it's a shame that they won't be the best at the highest level, and I definitely like to play classes that are the meta. So you'll probably catch me on the Blood DK, not so much the Warrior, but I would love to play it. Like Heroic Leap is probably my favorite ability in Cataclysm, so I'm going to be sad that I won't have that. And I think if you're someone that plays one and you enjoy playing it, I don't think it will stop you. I don't think your guild should stop you from doing it. I think they'll be viable, like Subtle said, but I don't know if they will be viable at the highest end. So you probably won't see them, and you may not have the best logs to like comb through to fine tune your skills and stuff like that. But honestly, it's going to be a decent expansion. Leveling is fairly quick, like 80 to 85 is like pretty quick. Play them both. You know what I mean? Play all the tanks, whatever you want to do, right? Play everything. But I think
That's what
once you
I'm
play a
doing.
warrior, yeah, I think once you play a warrior, and then you play a blood DK, you're gonna think, why the hell did I play a warrior? So I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's what it is.
Bloody Kids is just a different thing. It's crazy.
Yeah,
But
I think
I will enjoy my Prowler when I do play it.
yeah, they're fun in dungeons and everything, and they just feel good. It's just you just can't really, you don't really want to hold your raid back if it's at the highest level, right?
Yeah.
It would be funny if spell reflect. We were talking about the rocket boots, the backfire. It would be pretty funny if you could spell reflect that back onto your boots. Hey, bad boots.
It just instantly destroys like the durability of your belt.
Yeah, there you go.
That's something we should mention too. So we do keep calling it boots. That's just out of habit, but Nitro Boost is actually on your belt now. It's a belt tinker. So just to clear up any confusion there, but old habits die hard. We're still calling it boots. That's
It's been boots for 3
what
expansions.
we've been calling it. Yeah. And also note like engineering tinkers also don't take the place of enchants anymore. So that's a nice little bonus, is that you put the tinkers on and you can still get a regular enchant on those pieces too.
Plus, if people don't know, you get those cogwheel sockets, and those in the early phases are pretty insane, especially if you're playing like a tank where mastery is so good. You can just throw a couple mastery tinkers in there and cogwheels, and your steady spaghetti.
I think you can only do one of each type, right? Or
Oh, maybe
can
so.
you do multiple? I didn't
I
even
thought you could
try.
do. I thought you could do two, but I
Oh
did not.
man,
I did
maybe
not
you
try yet.
can. I
So
don't know. I didn't
I feel
try. I
like you
just
were able to.
assumed you couldn't. Maybe I should
Yeah,
try that. Yeah.
that would be
Jeez.
pretty good for
Have I been
sure.
sleeping on that?
So here's Scotty from Storm Rage. Have you tried solo dungeon farming 80 to 82? What spec and gems would you recommend? I have personally tried it. I watched Riani's video of Hulse of Lightning, so I went in there and I tried on my Blood DK, and I, just stormed through the place, pun intended. And it felt pretty good with the. I tried first with the strength gems, and then I tried with stamina gems because you and I had a discussion about it, and I figured it just made more sense with the vengeance and stuff to just go with the stam gems. But I just did blood. I just did a blood spec, stam gems, and just storm through Halls of Lightning. I don't know if there's better options, but our guest last week, Rayani, has some great videos on it. You can find him on YouTube, and he has been doing that stuff. So, what do you
Yeah.
think? I don't know if you've been doing any of that. I don't know if
Honestly,
you
I
have
haven't
access to.
been. Yeah, I haven't. I've been just hearing people say like the Halls of Lightning XP is great. I haven't checked it out at all. But back in the day, all the Basically Blizzard made a change where like when you're the max level of a, you know, WoW expansion, so when you're level 60, 70, 80, you get 90% reduced XP. Well, it's even kind of worse than that. So it reduces the mob XP to 10%. So it actually ends up being a little bit worse, I think. But yeah, basically you get like no XP. So like if you're level 60 and you're trying to do Ubers, you're gonna get like no XP. If you're level 70, you're trying to do Botanica, you're gonna get no XP. If you're level 80, you're trying to do Halls of Lightning, you're gonna get no XP. So that's what they did back in the day. That change came out like a few days before Cata launched. I would expect the same thing, but as far as I know, that isn't on the beta yet. So maybe they forget to do it. Maybe those farms stay really good.
Yeah, there's a
We'll
lot
see.
up in the air. Yeah, there's a lot up in the air right now. Just to mention too, I did try heroic versus normal. The experience was slightly greater, but the mob's HP was slightly greater, and they were only like 1 or 2 levels difference for like twice the HP. So like even just doing it once on heroic wasn't even worth it. You just send it on normal. If that becomes an option.
Yeah, could potentially look at something in some of the new dungeons too.
Yeah,
See
for
what
sure.
happens. Um so last one we got here is from Kiwi and Apple. Do you expect less burnout because of not having any bad quote unquote phase and knowing we're going to go relatively quick, with the expansion only having 3 raid phases and them giving the timeline for the phases as well? So to start with, basically throughout Classic, the typical Classic phase is like 16 to 20 weeks. So that's 4 to 5 months, which, you know, that's quite a while. Definitely when you're 5 months into a raid, people aren't really feeling it anymore. For Cata, we know we're gonna have a pretty typical Classic length phase for phase one. We do get ZG and ZA like partway through, which kind of, you know, keeps things a little bit more interesting. But the base raids, we're gonna have them for. I think. I mean, we don't have exact dates on when the later stuff comes out, but it looked like maybe like 16 plus weeks for the first tier of raids. But then Firelands looks like it may only be like 12 weeks, which is like really really short for classic raids. But at the same time, like it's probably so short that people don't really like get burnt out on it, and like there's no time for that like attrition to happen. On the flip side, people probably need time to kill her or Greg, and they might not get that time. So that could be combat, but and then the final phase, we don't really know how long that's gonna last. We know it's coming in, I think they said January, but typically the final phase of an expansion lasts the longest. I mean, we've been limit testing that lately with ICC. I think we're on week 28 of ICC now, and still several weeks until Cata. So I think it will. Uh, I I think overall it's gonna end up being kind of about the same. Like the reduced phase length should help reduce burnout, but the general fights in these raids are gonna be a lot harder. So I think there's gonna be increased burnout from that, but ultimately maybe it balances out. Like there's more burnout just because maybe burnout's not even the right word for it, but people just, you know, when raids are harder in classic, people quit. Like that's just what has historically happened all of classic. Like SSETK, there were literally like 2 bosses that were a little bit harder, like huge player drop off. Then Sunwell, pretty much all the bosses were a lot harder than everything else in TBC. Big player drop off. Then Ulduar, huge player drop off. ICC, huge player drop off. That part too, though, was, you know, due to the length of ICC on top of HLK being difficult. But yeah, I think it's gonna be about the same. I think it'll kind of even out, but Yeah, we'll see what happens. I do think a little bit short phasers are good. I think 12 to 14 weeks is like a really good time frame. But yeah.
I don't think burnout is the right word. I think that's what you said previously here, because I I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think, like you said, it's going to be too hard, if anything, and that's what's going to deter people. Like the raids are definitely going to be harder, and like you said in the first question, one night guilds will probably have quite a bit of trouble. Like there's going to be guilds that go through and do not kill heroic rag the entire phase. Like if it was 0% heroic Lich King, I don't know if my guild would have killed it before the phase was over. You know what I mean? Like if we never got the buff, I'm not entirely sure. Like I can't tell you for certain, right? And that's what I feel like it's going to be like a lot. So I think the people that are there hardcore and ready to stay for WoW and enjoy the challenge, I think they're going to stick around longer because it's going to be more of a challenge longer. But I think the people that just don't want the hassle, they want the instant gratification, they're gonna peace out. So I agree with your statement there. But yeah, I think the phases are about the same length overall. It is nice that in phase one, because those raids are definitely easier of the set of raids, that we're getting the ZG and ZA break, so that's pretty nice. Or the Zool, the troll raids, I should say, rather, or revamps or whatever they are.
Yeah, I think that pacing feels really good. All right, so that is the end of our listener questions for the week. You guys
Thank you,
can,
everyone.
yeah, thank you. You can submit those in my Discord in the Submit Podcast Questions channel. We'll just pull those every single week. We also have an email you can send them to if you want. What's that email handle?
That's weeksendtavern@gmail.com. You're welcome to send any feedback or reach out if you'd like to be a guest, whatever you want to do there. Same thing with Subtle's channel, etc. But I'm excited to get into this juicy War Within Alpha news. I've seen some changes that I hate visually, but there are some changes that I am so ready.
All
Give them to
right.
me now in Classic.
Yeah. Let's just get started. So big news of the week, the War Within Alpha began and signups for beta are also out. So War Within brings like a ton of new changes. You were talking earlier, you were really interested in the delves. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, I'll talk about the delves. I'm also excited about the war bands because as you know, I'm going to be starting a channel that's basically centered around stuff like that, right? Which is like collections and stuff. But the delves they're kind of like a system. If anyone's played Path of Exile, they're kind of like a mini dungeon almost, right? Or maybe like a Torghast, but not as not as poorly designed. And there's a bunch of rewards and stuff in there. They're 1 to 5 player role agnostic. Things that are role agnostic in the past have not been the best. The things that I can think of off the top of my head are scenarios in Mist of Pandaria. Those just did not turn out as well as I thought they would. So I'm a little skeptical and I hope it works out. But they're basically little dungeons, they're like little mini, they call them mini dungeons, and they're 1 to 5 player role agnostic, and you get Bran as a follower. And he can either heal, DPS, tank, or whatever. He can fill whatever role you need him to fill, and you do the other stuff. He gets upgrades along the way, stuff like that. And then the lower level, there's lower level delves, I think, as you're leveling. And then there's higher tiers of them when you get up to the max level and stuff like that. And then I think they're also added into the group finder too, which is pretty nice. But we'll see if you need Raider IO, so we'll see how that goes. But they're all across the world, and you explore them, and they've got all kinds of different themes, and the themes look really fun. And then there's a chest at the end of the tunnel. Who doesn't want to see a little bit of loot at the end?
We love that.
I love that.
Yeah, the kind of gear you can get from these is pretty good too. So it's like a good way to like start gearing up before you go into like M plus. So like the best gear you can get, it'll cap out at Mythic +5, and the highest level gear from Mythic is like Mythic plus 10. So you're getting some of the better gear you can get. Not the best gear, but enough to definitely get you going. And like these can be started solo. So like you could just solo play through the delves the whole time. You could get geared up from that if you want, and then go into M plus, or you could just only do delves if you want to. Like you won't get the best gear in the game, but if that's what you like, you can do that.
How do you feel about some of these systems? Because they've tried them in the past, right? Like what I said with scenarios and like maybe island expeditions, and some of those
Oof.
felt like a little bit of a grind, right? For what felt like such a crummy reward for what you had to do. I hope these turn out to be a little bit more fun and user friendly for the people that either want to solo or play with a set group of friends. Because I know there's people in our Discord and stuff, they play with like the same three people all the time. It would be great if those three people can use that as their content for the entire phase. That would be awesome. Um, I don't know. I just hope they show it enough love and it goes the direction that like Mythic Pluses have. Because those are like Mythic Pluses are amazing. So just make the delves like super duper hard. Make them scale like incredibly hard. Um, like even if you just get like little achievements or server accolades, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like I think that would be great. It would be enough for people. I don't think the loot necessarily matters. But people are always after the 99 par, so why not? Hey, I'm number one speed in delves and war within. There's also some other cool stuff here because I'm huge. I love collecting. With the delve, you also get a specific mount. It's like a helicopter, like a brand themed helicopter, and then you can augment it. You can have like propellers, you can have engines, whatever. You know what I mean? You can have a bunch of different stuff on this mount, and it's unique to each player. And I think this is the first time that that's been a thing where you get to customize your mount slightly. Um,
They've had that in Dragonflight, so like with the dragon riding, they
oh,
have kind
true,
of the
true,
same
true.
system. So this is kind of just taking that system and applying it. It's not dragons now; it's like a gyrocopter kind of mount. So
Right.
it is cool to see. But yeah, that is something they have been doing, but it's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. How do you feel about speaking of that too? How do you feel about dragon riding just with like a ton of different mounts? I think it
Oh my god,
and
it's
in the
so
open
good,
world and stuff.
dude. I love dragon riding. It's the best thing they've done to like mounts in a long time. Is so good. It feels so fun to like dragon red. Like OG flying mounts, it's literally just you get on your mount, you turn on like auto fly, and then you open up your map, you kind of aim yourself at the place you want to go, then you all tab. Like that's how you fly. With dragon riding, you're like, you're way more in control of like the speed you go, and it just feels really good, and you go like way faster. You go like 3 times quicker on a dragon riding mount, so it's just good. It's so fun. I love it.
My favorite thing I think is when you see people in like Wrath of the Lich King Classic or like just the vanilla classic or whatever, like that sort of thing. You'd see people like running laps around Orgrimmar or Dalaran or whatever. But whenever you open up someone's stream or you're playing Dragonflight, whenever like instead of twiddling your thumbs, it's basically or whatever, it's basically you're dragon riding around in circles. Like it's just so much fun that you just are doing it. Like
Yeah,
I
I
love
love
that
it,
that's a thing.
dude. When I'm just like going to do my transmogs and stuff, because like you can dragon ride in like Azeroth now too, which feels awesome. Um, but yeah, it's like I'm just going to like do a transmog farm or something. Dude, I'm just like have a blast, like cruising through all the zones. It feels really good. They got flying right finally, I think,
Yeah,
with the dragon
I think
riding.
it's amazing. Yeah, I was watching a clip of Sarix talk about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, everyone in Classic, the No Changes crew, they're like, yeah, I love flying because you can, set yourself on a flight path and then just go AFK and do the dishes or whatever the heck you need to do." And I'm sitting here like, not me. I just paid for a summon everywhere because I do not want to fly. Like whatever, like just get me there. Like I do
Yeah.
not want to do that. So like if they had it in like Cataclysm, Classic, I would be ecstatic. It's never going to happen, but it would be amazing, right? If they added some of these systems
It
like
would be
delves
great.
and the warbands and stuff.
Great for
Would you like to?
archaeology too.
Oh my
Like,
god,
dude, can you imagine archaeology if you had a
I think
dynamic
everyone would
flying?
do it. I think everyone would do archaeology if that was the case, just because you just get to fly around.
Yeah, it's just like fun to do. I like it. I'm a huge fan. That's one of my. I mean, honestly, I like almost everything they did in Dragonflight, but that's definitely up there with my top changes.
And then, how do you feel about these war bands? What do you feel about these? I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, yeah. So these are pretty cool. So basically, like you can sort of link your characters together, like your, mains, alt, whatever, or your main and alts. And they become part of a warband, and then they can like share different things like throughout the warband. So there's like a whole bunch of different things. They share like almost everything. So um they actually have a shared bank, which is really cool. So any character in the warband can access that same bank. A lot of the reps you get to share between anything in your warband, which is like that's always been kind of one of the worst parts of like having an alt, is that like you have to redo all those rep grinds again. And this just like, removes like the worst part of having an alt. Um, what else did they have? Oh yeah, a lot of achievements are just like warband wide now. So that's kind of cool. You don't have to, I mean, it's probably pretty nice for a lot of the um players who, maybe play at the highest level and like kind of need to play the flavor of the month class constantly. They can, get the achievements on all their characters without worrying about that. Uh, Currency is not shared, but you can easily transfer currency between warband members. So basically, this system it just kind of allows you to, you know, like alts aren't as much of a detriment. I guess you're not like you don't like fully invest in a single character. It just like really encourages alts by like you invest more in your like account in general, and a lot of things are just shared across multiple characters, which feels great.
I
Then
can't.
they're also adding this warbound until equipped gear too, which is kind of cool. So like you can trade this kind of item to anybody in your warband, and then it only binds once you equip it. So makes gearing a bit easier too, which is great. Gear up alts a lot quicker.
Yeah, I think that one's a little bit of a tongue twister there too, right? War band bound.
Yeah,
War.
yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
Warbound until equipped. Yeah,
War band bound.
warband bound.
War band bound.
Yeah,
No, so I think people will probably just call it Warbound if anything, or they'll just name it that in the end. But
that's what they have it as on here. I'm not sure
okay, yeah. When I
what.
was looking up, when I look it up, I saw War Band Bound, like on the
Oh
on the
geez,
text. So I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh, that's a
I
tongue
mean, we
twister.
gotta just nip that in the bud right now.
Yeah,
It's
just get
gotta
it.
just be warbound. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, Blizzard. If you're listening to us now, just Warbound. Just get rid of the band if it's in there. Just get rid of it. Just band that word. Just ban it. I am absolutely in love with this. I think it should be in every version of the game, quite honestly. Like, I love the fact that your characters look like they're in like a Diablo loading screen. I love that. I love the fact that you can like change, like the currency and stuff like that. Maybe it's not like exactly, like you said, it's easy, right? It's not like it's not shared, but it's easy to move. I think that's amazing. I think this would be absolutely outstanding in Cataclysm Classic. Um, I don't know so much in SOD, right? It would probably be pretty cool because people would be able to test a lot of their alts, but I think it's amazing. So I'm ready for that. I'm so ready for that change. I love that you can change your transmogs and stuff like that, and it's easier. The shared bank is killer, right? Because I don't know how many times you have gone on to like, oh, where did I put those true silver bars or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Um, so I think that's pretty cool to have like a shared bank. I think there is some things coming up in they were showcasing in the alpha too, where there's like uh the something Discord, where it's like an event where you get to go around the world and there's like remembrances of things in that version of the world. So if you go to Northrend, you'll see like visions of Northrend bosses and stuff, and then you'd have to fight them, and then getting the like killing them, you get stuff for your entire warband. And the coolest thing is you get it for the entire warband. You don't have to go on your cloth character. You don't have to go on your mail character, your plate character, and do it all and all. All that stuff. You just get it all, right? So you just do it once, get it all, and it's just amazing, right? I think reps being warband bound is insane. There I go again. Warband bound.
Yeah, like
The
I mean,
warband.
just top to bottom, like I mean, it just kind of seems like a home run.
Yeah, perfect change. Absolutely perfect change, I think.
I haven't seen, I don't think a single person that isn't just like totally in love with this change. So
I can't remember an expansion that they haven't asked for something like this also. So I'm glad that they're finally caving in and giving it to us, because I feel like even Legion, BFA, like all those things are like, just give us war bands or whatever they called them back then, right? Just give us alts,
mm,
easy alt catch up. This is it.
yeah, so I mean, there's a ton of new stuff coming out with War Within, but Warbands and Delves, it looks like these are gonna be great additions. Like gotta see how it like plays out, but right now it's looking good, looking really good. And then
Yeah.
obviously you got all the hero talents coming out. We'll go over those more in probably a future episode, but basically just they expand on, each class. It's like a combination of two specs. So there's one for, like Brewmaster Windwalker, Brewmaster Mistweaver. They're just like kind of combo hero classes like that. Um so since War Within is getting close, they also unveiled the collector's edition. This thing costs like $200, and it comes with a giant griffin statue. This griffin statue, though, a little bit of controversy with it because apparently in some places, when you order this, it adds like $100 to the shipping fee. Because I guess the statue like weighs quite a bit, so people were kind of mad because in some places, I believe the collector's edition was up to like $350 after shipping, and seems like a bit much. But yeah, if you want the collector's edition and you got some money, it's available now. I think they have a finite amount, so grab it while you can, I guess.
Yeah, maybe ask them if you're in a one of the countries that you have to have the weight. Maybe ask them to hollow out the statue or something, lose a little weight on it for you. I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Like it sucks. I'm a huge fan of the collector's editions, and I'm glad that they get like they're out there. But I never pick them up because I didn't get the first one, right? And I feel like I
Mm,
missed the train on that. I feel like if you have one, you should have them all,
yeah.
right? That's me at least.
Yeah, I think I got the first three. I regret not keeping it going and getting all of them, but I got the first three.
What do you think about?
They were great. I loved them. I remember like when I was a kid, I always like looked through like the art books you got with them. Those were really cool. You would get like these WoW like art books that it's like concept art for the game and stuff like that. So those were really cool. I remember looking at those. And then I mean these days you get obviously all this in-game stuff too. I guess even back then you did. You even the first collector's edition, you got like the panda pet, the mini Diablo, and the Zergling. And then like every new character you made, you got to like pick which one you got, I think. But yeah. Um I just kind of regret not keeping the train going on that.
Now, someone in your chat, Uth Golvane, said, "What about a collector's edition without the statue?" Right? So what if there's like a
Mm,
medium tier situation?
yeah. Yeah. That'd be a really good move, I think. Like make the Griffin one like the deluxe collector's edition or something, and then make just like a regular one. Cause like I mean the entire problem is just like the statue. Like if you take the statue out, like the statue is the only complaint I've heard from anybody. Like a lot of people I've seen online, they don't even really like the statue. And then the fact that like for some people it adds like $100 to the cost too. Like, I mean, yeah, that'd be the easiest way to solve the problem, right? Just offer a version of it that doesn't have the statue. Because this damn statue, dude, it's seems to be causing all the problems.
Now, here's the question: in the Chinese versions, do they have the different statue, the one we were speaking about last week?
Oh, the Gorhao.
Do they get the Gorehowl statue?
And like a mini sledgehammer to
Yeah, yeah,
to tear
yeah.
it
Just on
apart.
the side. Yeah, just on the
Yeah.
side. Yeah, they can break it up like one of those kids' toys where they like break up the clay and like find something in it. The collector's edition is inside the statue.
Oh my god. That'd be
So,
incredible.
it's a
Oh,
one-time event.
you also get a little pin with it. Forgot to mention the pin. I think it has like Jaina, maybe. Who does it have on it? Illyria? It has Anduin, Illyria, and Thrall. It's a little pin.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can wear that to all your formal gatherings. You can just pop that pin on your chest and people will know you mean business.
I don't know about you, but not that the pin isn't cool. I don't know about you, but I feel like a lot of people that play WoW are like closeted, quote unquote, WoW players. Like you don't
Yeah,
really run into people
100%.
that are like, "Oh yeah, I play WoW." And every once in a while, I've definitely seen someone like with a World of Warcraft or BattleNet T-shirt or something like that, right? I'm like, "Oh, I want to talk to this person."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Oh
it's like,
yeah, 100%. Dude, I used to be like that for sure. Like I would like kind of hit it. And then one day I was like, wait, if I'm just like hanging all the time, I'm never gonna meet anybody who like likes WoW, right? So then I mean I started being like super open about it. And then like everywhere I went, I was meeting people that also played. And then like you have an instant connection with them and like you got stuff to talk about. So yeah, definitely recommend that. Just be open about the things you like, and you'll
you know what?
find other people who like them too.
You know what? Let's all just get the pins and wear them in solidarity. Let's just, that way if you've got the pin,
Yeah, we all gotta get the
we're
pin.
we're we're WoW lovers, dude. Just get the pin.
100%. That is
I'm not getting any proceeds. Blizzard's not paying us to say this either. This is just get the pin.
just get the pin.
Just get the pin.
Words to
All
live
right,
by.
well, that's right. Just get the pin. All right. Enough about the collector's edition. But reminder: get the pin. Plunderstorm ends the week of the April 30th and has 2 times rep bonus until then. How do you feel about this little tiny change? I know you've been playing a little bit of Plunderstorm. I don't know if you've been playing it
Oh man,
since the
I
launch.
yeah haven't touched it since like day one of the launch. I was meaning to like play a little bit each day to like work my way toward the mount, but it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Well, get it in. If people are, if you want to get your rewards that go like cross game types, right? Get it in. Get it in now. Get it done, right? It goes
Yep.
away. So
Yep.
if you're a collector, just get it done. Wear the pin while you get it done. Whatever you got to do.
Wear the pin while you get done. Yep. You got about a week to get this done. And after that week, we got a Cata Prepatch coming out. So maybe you go hard on Plunderstorm, then you end up Cata Prepatch
Yeah,
with
plunder it up and then cat it.
that cool mount that you also get in Cata Classic.
That's right. That's right. You
So
want to touch base here on a little Dark Heart?
yeah. So we just got the release date for 10.2.7, the Dark Heart patch that's coming to retail. Basically, it just has a Dragonflight, sets the stage for War Within. There's going to be some big lore stuff going on if you want to check that out. And also Draenei and Troll get heritage armor. So if you're a fan of either of those races, you can get some heritage armor. I generally saw people liking the Troll one and not so much the Draenei one. The people were pretty mixed on the Draenei one, but Troll one definitely looked pretty good. So pick that up. Going to War Within, looking amazing.
Gotta look fresh. Yeah,
And
the only problem with something
Yeah.
like this, I love the lore that it brings, and I love that it like ties into the next expansion and stuff like that. But it feels like it's almost overshadowed, because War Within comes out, and then we've gotten news about the new raid, the Narub Palace or whatever it's called. So it's almost like it gets like overshadowed a little bit, right? So you don't get as much hype, which I don't love.
there's just too much going on right now. Like it's
There's too much
crazy.
going on.
Like in WoW in general, it's like every week there's like something happening.
Yeah, but
Nothing
it's
has like
crazy
time
that
to
it like
breathe.
yeah, like kind of crazy that it like overlaps itself, right? Even and the fact that they're making that happen, I think is a good thing, right? Like I mean, it shows that there's multiple ways to play. No matter who you are, there's got to be an option for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's got something for sure between, classic era, SOD, Cata Classic, retail.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the transmogs are okay. The new heritage armors are okay. I'm definitely a fan of the troll one versus the Draenei.
mhm, definitely agree. So we also got the release date for the WoW remix, Mists of Pandaria. And like I was fearing, it's coming out like right at the same time as Cat Classic. So to me, this was super appealing. I was pretty excited for this, but based on the timing, I was pretty sure it was going to come out same time as Cat Classic. Obviously, I'm mainly playing Cat Classic, so a little bit of a bummer. I may play this for a couple days leading up to Cat Classic, but we'll see what happens. We covered this one last week, but basically it's Miss Pandaria. It's essentially time walking. If you've done that in retail, you're gonna have Dragonflight class tuning and everything, but there's a bunch of new gems and stuff that kind of change the way you play, and lots of cool new systems. You can do all the raids as well, so it looks really fun. I would love to check it out. Like if this had come out like a couple of weeks ago, I would have been all over this. I would have been playing this nonstop. But I might have to catch it kind of toward the tail end. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a bit of a fumble to do like Plunderstorm instead of this, and they could have done Plunderstorm like a later time.
I would have
So
preferred that personally, but
yeah, I mean, it definitely would have got people caught up to the Dragonflight where they need to be for War Within, which I think the point of this is, right? So I think for the people that only play retail, this is great, and I think for the people that only play Cata, it's fine. But the people that just want to, touch base on everything, right? It's kind of sucks because I definitely am going to be sad that I'm missing a little bit of it here, but because I am going to be playing Cata Classic, but it is what it is. Plus, it's a great way to level your alts, right? Like if you want to, or not level your alts, but level a new character, right?
mhm.
That eventually gets transferred over into the retail pool, which would be great for new coming players.
Yeah. But also in the War Within Alpha, on the calendar and the War Within Alpha, they actually have the end date for this Miss Pandaria time running. We don't know if this is, going to be 100% accurate, but this is at least something Blizzard put in there as a plan, I guess, at some point. So they have it ending on August 19th. That is presumably about the time that the War Within is coming out, also. So that date kind of makes sense. But if you want to check this out, you're gonna have about 3 months to do so. It looks like. So, like I said, I'll probably be checking out kind of the tail end of this, since unfortunately I'll be pretty busy, not really able to do too much of it when it first comes out. But maybe the first couple days I'll get into it. We'll see.
It depends on how much archaeology you need to do, right? So
Oh
I know
god,
you're
yeah.
prepping hard for that Cata, right? So
Yeah, the archaeology grind. It's gonna be real. We'll see if I think we're gonna be able to get the pre-biz atoms, but we'll see what happens. If we can't get those, then I mean that really cuts down on what I gotta do. So we'll see.
yeah, for sure.
So
I think the end date's good, right? Like right before the war within. I think that's fine.
mhm.
It gives some time if people want to, play a little bit of both Cata and the Mississippi area. But there's definitely there's nothing like that initial rush, right? Like right when Classic launched and you get to be there the
Mhm.
first day. Like it's just not the same, right? If you come and play like the second day, even it's just not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it's that fresh experience. I mean, every private server ever, they
Yeah,
bank on
exactly.
that. Just everybody wants there's just something about like fresh server or just version of the game, whatever, launching. Everybody's like experiencing all the new stuff at the same time. Like you when you miss that, it definitely diminishes the experience.
I think the only thing recently that I can think of that was a little bit of a fumble on that front was the solo self-found hardcore. Like it wasn't even a fresh server technically. It was just
Yeah.
an option.
Yeah, that was weird.
So that was weird. Like they kind of yeah, they definitely missed out on that one. They could if they just made it a fresh server, I think people would have like flocked to it like crazy, right?
Way more
But
people would have checked it out, I think.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think it would have been pretty short lived, but
Oh, agreed.
um yeah. More people would have checked it out on launch. I don't know.
Well, you generate the hype, and then you generate currency off of that. There's a streamer that I watch called Pirate Software. I'm sure you've heard of him because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, definitely.
yeah because his YouTube shorts and stuff come up because I watch your videos, right? Um, he was a developer for Blizzard, and he said StarCraft 2 development. He spent 2 years on Wings of Liberty, and it ended up making less money than a singular mount in the store for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, the Sparkle Pony. The first
Yeah, the
one, the
Celestial Steed or
Celestial
whatever.
Steed, yes.
And that's insane to me. So like to not want to build on that hype just seems like a total fumble there. So I know that's not in the news or anything, but it's
Yeah.
just a thought.
That was I mean, were you playing when Sparkle Pony came out back in the day?
I was.
Okay. Yeah, I remember at the time, like myself and basically everybody around me, we all just kind of knew like the game had like changed forever, like at that point, right? Like when that first mount came in, I think it cost $25, right? Was it $25? It might have been
I it
15.
was yeah, it was somewhere around there, but I have the same feeling. It was just like when the WoW token was introduced, right? It
Yeah.
was like the same thing. You're like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it was one of those like times where like you just immediately like things are never gonna be the same. We just crossed a threshold. Sometimes those things like take longer for you to like kind of realize like, oh, that was actually the turning point. That one, everybody saw it immediately. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, they're making like millions of dollars from this mount. Obviously they're gonna keep doing that. That probably took them no time at all to do. And yeah, that
I'm a
was
sucker for them. I am a sucker
yeah.
for them because some of these store mounts look amazing. Like I remember buying, I think it was in Dragon Soul, the Heart of the Aspect, that golden dragon. It did. I saw someone do like the mount special, and it did like a flip on it. I'm like, I'm going to the store right now. Where's it at? Sign me up.
That flip,
Where's the credit
that's
card?
all it took, the flip.
That's all it took, dude. That's all it took.
Damn, man. Yeah, I mean, it, some of the mounts are like kind of lazy, but if they put the time in and it's worth the money. I mean, I guess like if people are buying them, it's worth the money to them. So I guess they're getting their value out of it. It's just I kind of miss the days of like when in games, everything you saw in the game was something somebody like earned. So like if you saw a mount in the game, it's because like, oh, this person, killed Hero Glitch King. They got invincible. It wasn't like, oh, they got that mount because they like swiped their credit card on the cash shop.
Well, they
It,
still have those, right? So, like, when you kill Mythic,
they do,
the
yeah.
Mythic bosses and stuff, and definitely when you see those guys playing, like, writing them out from the current tier, from the last boss, like, it feels epic, right? It feels like, because there's transmog in the game, right? You can't really tell who's, like, wearing what. Like, when you were back in Classic and you saw a guy wearing, like, a bunch of tier 3 or tier 2 or whatever, you're like, "That guy's dope." Now it's that mount, right? Is like the status symbol or like a title or something, like
Mm,
ahead of the curve sort of situation. But other than that, yeah, I'd probably agree. But most of those mounts I think are pretty cool, like gladiator mounts and the mythic end boss mounts. I think those are pretty dope compared to like some of the mount that you get in the store. Like I
yeah,
feel like they
definitely.
put quite a bit of effort into them, which is nice.
Yeah, I actually got a lot of those mounts for free because I used to have like the 6 month sub, and just every time a new one came out, just give me some random mount for free. I was like,
Well,
okay,
thank you.
thank you, yeah. But now I just, with WoW tokens, I just pay for my sub, so I stopped getting those.
Oh
All
dang it,
right.
dude.
Um, let's see. What do we have up next? Oh yeah, the
Sod.
so really quick, or oh wait, I might have skipped. Yes, I skipped. Yeah, so Sod, you wanna start in on this?
Yeah, sure. There's some class changes coming. Blizzard's asking for some feedback on it. And there is some new class changes that came out today, and the one that I am most excited for is seal twisting. I absolutely loved it in TBC. Bring me back, please. I love my Ret Paladin. The funniest oof I think to date also was when I switched from Prot to Ret to do Brutalis. I did not switch Crusader Strike on my bar for Hand of Reckoning, and they are the same keybind if I did not switch them. And I thought I was pumping so hard that I was pulling the boss every time I was battle resed, which was like 5 times. It turns out I was just Hand of Reckoning the boss. I was just ahead of my time. I was doing it before the glyph was
Oof.
even cool. But yeah,
Yeah,
I loved it. I love seal twisting. The power that you felt with the Wind Fury plus the seal twist at the same time, and then you were just immediately dead because there's no way your tank could keep threat off of that. It was, I don't know, it was just something that felt amazing. There's obviously other changes and stuff, but that's definitely the one I'm looking forward to the most, even though I don't play Paladin, which is pretty funny.
yeah.
They
So
have to.
yeah, so I mean, Blizzard has been looking for feedback, as you said. Agrand actually took to Twitter trying to get everybody's feedback. People were getting pretty crazy. It's always wild to me. Like the community kind of treats people, but they hopefully got some good feedback out of that. But their kind of main things they were looking at were adjusting Shadow Priest DPS, adjusting survival for hunters, holy paladins, sword rogues, warriors. So I think in the changes today they addressed most of those. Obviously, you mentioned the seal twisting. I mean, they wrote like an entire book about the seal of martyrdom change. But yeah, seal twisting is back. So if you like that play style, uh, might be a good time to check out SOD. The priest change. This is the one I've heard the most complaints about. So Shao form now increases all damage done by 25%, was 15%. The complaints I've heard about this, first of all, I haven't played SOD in quite a while. I try to kind of pay attention to it, like, through Reddit and some Twitch streams occasionally. And I try to have a general idea of what's going on. But the things I've heard is that Chow priests are like pretty crazy in PvP, but they needed some buffs in PvE. And this change obviously makes them more overpowered in PvP, and seems like it probably isn't enough for them in PvE. Those are the
Yeah,
main
I think
complaints
it's
I've heard.
yeah, I think it's a weird change, right? Because it doesn't target where they were lacking. So I think it's weird. I think we're gonna get a lot of complaints in PvP because they're already like a powerhouse. That's also the problem with classic and SOD in general. Just before you go over the other stuff, um, is that like we don't even see the final product yet, and you're like buffing and nerfing things, and like Frost Mage now is viable if you have at least one Fire Mage and one Frost Raid in a raid. It's viable, right? Like where Frost was the bottom of the DPS chart last phase, and they really didn't. They really got like one rune that helped them out, and even that they don't need to use right to be viable. So I don't know if it's too hasty for the changes to come, but there's definitely some classes that are lacking and some that are like way too OP, like shamans. I feel like every time I go into PvP with them and Shadow Priest, they just destroy me.
Yeah, the shaman's the one I've heard the most about. Everybody has been talking about how crazy shaman is for seems like forever now.
Yeah, they are the
Any
OPs.
so I keep hearing feral druids also like pretty upset with how things have been going for them. I think more of the
They
cat druids. Have
yeah, they
you
did.
seen any of that stuff?
I have the Bear Druids got a little love recently. They just reworked like a lot of the runes so that because it was very weird, you could have like Mangle and Lacerate on the same thing, like the same piece of armor. It like just didn't make any sense some of it. So yeah, I think Bear Druid's got some love, but yeah, Cat Druid's got a few things. They just feel lackluster, which is insane because I thought they would just destroy. I mean, they got some new things in the form of the rep grind. They've got an enchant for their helm where they can put Wolf's Head helm basically on any helm, like current helm, which is amazing. And then the other thing is um, the Catnip, which is a I think honored with the
Catnip.
Emerald Warden. Yeah, it's a Emerald Warden reagent. You can just go back and buy it once you're honored with these guys, and it is just a crowd pummeler. It's just a consumable. It's basically
Oh,
like like a thistle tea, but for
okay.
cats. And I love that they named it catnip. I thought that was
Yeah,
awesome.
that's really good.
That
I
was
love
perfect
that. I
name.
love that.
Yeah. So those changes feel pretty nice. But there's just some classes that just feel so freaking OP, right? And then we're in the phase now where Mardon is a thing. So like there's many different classes that are like soloing princess, and it sucks to have to like respec to do that into like Boomkin, for instance, right? If you want to solo it, right? Where I don't know if it's not something that you wanted to play, it feels kind of bad. So,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
dual spec is a thing, so at least there's that.
Oh yeah, yeah. They just added that. I mean, probably a no-brainer, but that's been an awesome addition, I assume.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I think people are pretty happy for it. I haven't found like a ton of use cases in the raid for it. Like I haven't seen a lot of our guys switching back and forth. I do know that it saves like your runes where they're at. I believe it does actually. Maybe I'm mistaken here. But for the most part, I just find myself in the same spec, just like switching all my runes and then healing as a mage, for example. I don't always remember to switch specs because it's so like ingrained in my brain that it's not a
Hmm.
classic thing.
Fair enough. All right. So next, this is probably really exciting for you. I mean, I guess you aren't doing as many GDKPs now, but I know before the gold limit was kind of an issue. But Wrath Classic gold cap increased to basically 1 million, one gold short of 1 million. So just about 5 times more, little under 5 times more than it was before. So I mean, there is so much gold in the economy now. Like basically any GDKP you go into, like multiple people have to like hold the pot to be able to like you were just capped like at 214k, and like a lot of GDKP bots, at least earlier in the phase were like 500 plus k. There's definitely like higher dollar ones that are into the millions. So this is a pretty nice change. I mean, as a GDKP leader, you love this, right?
Yeah, as a person that uses an add-on that can track all this stuff, it's definitely great. The one thing that concerns me though is we talked about it last week, I believe, that the transfers aren't available to and from Grobulos.
Yeah.
So if someone did want to leave Grobulos, are we stuck with that 10K gold limit or whatever it is when you like have to pay for a transfer? Because when you're doing the free transfers, it's unlimited what you bring.
Hmm.
But could you imagine if you're stuck with that? Like you have a 999, like basically 1 million gold cap, and you can't even bring it.
Yeah. It's so right now I believe it's a 25k cap. I'm not sure. I assume they're gonna
I think
increase
it
that in
changes on
Cata.
level. Yeah, I
It
think it
does,
changes on
yeah.
level too.
So when you go up to 85, hopefully it'll be a lot more. But yeah, that is like one of the worst parts of the paid transfers is just you can't bring your gold with you. So
Yeah, and I think that's a like misstep too, right? Like, oh, it's a paid transfer. Like I'm literally giving you money versus not,
yeah.
and I can't take more with me. That seems silly.
Yeah, it just kind of adds an extra hurdle because like the way people get around that is they just like buy things, like you invest in something, but
Yeah, for sure.
obviously you have to like kind of research like what prices are like on the server you're going to, like what kinds of things you could maybe make money on by bringing over in the transfer, but at least hopefully break even on. Um, I remember in like TBC, like were they the gigantic bags, the
Yeah,
Harris Pilton ones? Yeah, people would like transfer those all the time. That was a pretty popular one because like you could just sell them for like 100 gold cheaper than the vendor sells them for, and people would buy them. So that was a
yeah,
pretty safe one.
yeah. So there's some good news with that too, right? Like some good gold sinks like that are like for Wrath of the Lich King. You could do like the Mechano Hog parts or whatever, right? Because they just trade 1-to-1 basically. Another thing that you can do in Cataclysm, I think, is the Sandstone Drake has a couple of components that are just like gold based, right? And you can just sell those to people, even if it's like 2% off or whatever. You're basically transferring all your gold over. So
Yeah, definitely options.
yeah, it's just like you said, it's just an extra hurdle, which is kind of lame.
Yeah, yeah, it would be nice if they changed that, or at least
Oh, overall good
upped it
change.
quite a bit.
Otherwise, though,
Yeah, yeah. If you're, not worrying
quality of
about
life.
transferring at all, it's definitely nice.
I
Although
also saw
I
that the guild
personally
bank can
haven't had
go.
that much gold anyway to even to even cap, but
I also saw that the gold and the guild bank can go up to that much too, which is nice because
oh
I
yeah,
had to have like multiple characters holding it for the guild because we had, you know, like 400, 500,000. I give it a lot of it out for our GDKP because our host cut goes back into our guys that raid with us for the most part. Or, they go into like the fun little wheel of fun or whatever that we used to
mm,
have, stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, it's good for people that want to, hold their guild money, and be able to use that too, so they don't have to make multiple characters to hold it and hide it, right? And then because people are wondering, hey, aren't we supposed to have like 600K gold?
yep.
So it's
Um,
transparent.
yeah. So the last thing we're gonna go over today, I mean, pretty brief, but Cata Prepatch coming in 1 week. We're almost there. April 30th is when it's rolling out. Beta just got a new build, I think today. Have you had a chance to check that out at all?
No, I played Tuesday and Wednesday night of last week, so I have not played. I have not logged in over the weekend or today.
Okay. Yeah, I heard a bunch of things got fixed, but still hearing like a lot of blood DK things are broken. So
Yeah, just leave them like that. They're
personally,
already
yeah,
they're already too good.
no, no.
Nah, just leave
Oh
them
my god,
broken.
it would kill me
Just get the pin.
if
Just
they
get the
gutted
pin.
my blood DK.
Don't worry about it. Just get the
Yeah.
pin.
So this is your last chance. I know at least on Grobulus, a lot of, and I've heard other servers too, a lot of, title runs, mount runs, transmog runs are kind of popping up as people prepare for this. A lot of the ZG, ZA stuff obviously going away. So those are good things to go for. Tiger mount, Raptor mount, surprisingly, a lot of people I've found don't know about the raptor pet from ZG. But there's a Rizashi hatching pet. It's from the little raptors in ZG. It's a pretty low drop chance. That one will still be around in Cata, but it just becomes a really low drop chance off like anything in STV, or maybe not anything, but a lot of things in STV. So it it's easier to get now than it will be, I think. So just anytime you're in there, like killing raptor boss, trying to get them out, kill all the little raptors, maybe get the pet. I've seen it going for in the like 4,000 to 7,000 gold range, depending on the server. So good way to pick up some gold if you are looking for something to get you some gold going into Cata. We still have no word on the elemental invasion, which feels weird. Like there has been like zero communication on this. And this would be kind of a big deal if they skipped it. Like the event on its own, it's not like, I mean, it's kind of cool because it like, sets up the whole cataclysm thing. Gets all the lore stuff set up. There's also a little bit of catch up gear like at level 251 stuff that people, some people could use that are returning players. But the biggest thing with this is that if they skip this, it would be the first time in Classic that they've like skipped content. So that would be kind of an interesting precedent to set that it maybe we might be entering Classic with some things get skipped now mode. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like skipping certain content throughout Classic?
It's definitely weird. I don't think we're getting it, right? Because they have like just zero communication, like you said, right? But it definitely sets a precedent, like you said. I think it's I can't think of other things that maybe will be like this one isn't necessarily groundbreaking, but it'd be weird if you didn't have the Scourge invasion before Wrath of the Lich King, because it played into the lore so heavily. So it's weird to not have this for that same reason, right? So I think it kind of like kills a little bit of the hype going back to that train. It's weird to kill a little bit of the hype for your own game.
Yeah, it just I don't know. It just kind of feels like they just don't have that much time for like Kata. Like they're stretched too thin, and like I don't know. Like this is the version of the game I'm most interested in. So like if like before Kata has even come out, if they're already cutting corners, to me that feels really bad as somebody who's like mainly invested in this version of the game, while they're offering like constant updates and stuff for things like SOD. Like it just kind of feels bad to be left in the dark, and then possibly we won't even be getting like, the full content we should be.
Well, let's just hope and maybe take a little copium here that they're using that time wisely instead of just not using it at all. Maybe they're just
Mm.
building something else. Maybe Mista Pandaria will have mythic pluses or something.
uh,
Just wishful thinking, dude. That's where they're spending the time.
yeah, I kind of think it's just more time for SOD,
Yep, I
unfortunately.
agree.
Other thing to mention, kind of in the same vein, we still have not seen any raid testing at all on beta. So by this point in the Wrath Classic beta, we had already had 2 raid tests. I believe Wrath had 3 total, and the last one was just a couple days before pre-patch. So we could, I mean, we kind of have to, I would think, see some raid testing at some point. And there's a lot more to test this time around than there was in like phase 1 of Wrath. So the fact that we've had 0 raid tests is a little concerning, but hopefully I kind of think by the end of this week we'll hopefully have the first raid test. And then apparently I would assume there's going to be more in pre-patch, at least one more. But I mean, I'd be pretty worried for the state the raids are in if we don't get any raid tests or we only get one. especially after, I mean, the last thing we raid tested was Halion, and there were, you know, several major bugs, and two of the major bugs never got fixed and actually went live. The the ads on the fight not actually getting the damage buff, and the ground effects not appearing in both phases. So like the version of Halion we got is like a nerfed version of Halion that just is bugged. So that's the last raid we've seen in Classic, and we have 0 raid tests so far in Cata. So I'm a little concerned for what our phase 1 raids may look like on launch, but hopefully they're gonna get the ball rolling soon.
Yeah, I think they're maybe taking a page from the SOD book, just release it and then just nerf it by like 90% the next week or whatever, the next few days. They're just taking a page. I
Yeah,
don't
right.
know. I'm yeah, it sucks. Like it's weird. It's very weird, and it's gonna be very like it's gonna be catering to the hardcore guilds even more that are setting up like private servers of their own or whatever, right? That are able to run those raids like over and over and over and over and over again. Um, where the average player can't, right? Which feels kind of bad, right? Because it's almost like a way for your guild, especially like the first question we had, like the one night raid guilds. It's a way for even your guild leader or your raid leader or whatever to get those reps in so that he can be able to help the guild, which is kind of a shame, right? Because that's why I usually play the PTR is so I can test it out, so I have a better idea as a raid leader of some of the new strategies or whatever it may be, right? Because we definitely know that this day and age we are different gamers. I would say probably better on average on the curve.
Oh,
So
definitely.
the strategies have definitely changed even from the first time we played through all iterations of the game so far. So I think it's a little misstep that they don't have them yet, but maybe they're just waiting to give you the beta to be able
Yeah.
to set out the raids.
It's not happening. I've given up hope.
No, I think they're just going to give you a pre-geared level 85 blood DK. They're just
Oh
going to
yeah.
set you up. Yeah,
Okay.
they're like, here it
Uh,
is. Sorry, we made you wait. They're going to
well,
give you the elemental invasion as well, but only for you. It's like a
oh yeah,
scenario.
only for me. Yeah, solo scenario, elemental
Yep,
invasion.
that's right.
Hell yeah. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, and you can wear the pin while you're doing it.
Of course. I will never take off the pin.
That's right.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up this week. Yeah. Also, I guess we should mention season 4 for Dragonfight comes out tomorrow. So we're kind of entering the just constant WoW content phase now, where you got tons of retail stuff happening, CAD classic stuff happening. There's gonna be SOD stuff happening. Then there's gonna be even more retail stuff and CAD classic stuff happening. So it's just gonna be from here on out. Is just like every couple of weeks there's like kind of major stuff coming out for something in WoW. So it's gonna be a crazy next several months, but I'm excited.
And we are right here for you. If you don't want to read those blue post trackers in your discords, you just want to listen to our voices. We got you covered because we are here to cover all that news for you. We're rounding up all the good stuff and giving it to you.
Hell yeah, exactly. That is the goal. Um, yeah, but we will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out. It's been fun. Have a great week. See you next week.
See you next.